I don't know if you ever have this experience when you consider all the big problems in the world, but I have this tendency to default to one of two postures, and both of which are pretty messed up. One is apathy. Well, that problem's out there and it's not my problem. And the other is this feeling of being overwhelmed, like the problems in this world are too big to actually solve, and how am I going to even fathom contributing to them? But there's a word that Nehemiah uses in chapter 2 of the book named after him that gives me a better perspective on the problems that we face in this world and helps kind of rescue me from either of those unhealthy postures. And the thing is that the word isn't like some cool fancy word that no one ever uses, and let's unpack it in its original language and context and look at all the secret cool things going on there. It's just like a normal word, but it's significant once you understand the context into which Nehemiah is speaking. Nehemiah was a royal cupbearer for the Emperor Artaxerxes. I don't know why that word's so hard for me to say. Artaxerxes. And he's a Jewish exile that was likely born and raised in exile, probably around the city of Susa in the Persian Empire. And he gets permission from the king to go back to Judah to work on reconstructing the city. And the first thing he does when he gets to the city is he takes a walk at night around the walls. And he takes this walk without the knowledge of a lot of the leaders and elders of the city. And thereafter, he calls together a meeting with them. And it's in that meeting, the very first thing that he says that catches my eye, given where he's from and what he's doing in this passage. He says, "You see the trouble we are in?" He's talking to these elders from this town that he is just now visiting. He was raised and employed in a different city and a different part of the empire, but he comes to Jerusalem and he talks to the elders after walking around the walls and says, "Do you see the trouble that we are in?" That's the word, we. But here's the thing, I don't know about you, but I know that there is this temptation in me when things are going wrong in another part of the world. The first thought I think is not, look at the trouble we're in. I think of, well, look at the trouble those people are in. Look at the struggle they are having. Look at the catastrophe or the disaster that has struck them. I don't think, look at the thing that has happened to us. Don't get me wrong, I understand that Nehemiah has some like ethnic, cultural, religious ties to the people of Jerusalem given his heritage. But I do think in the modern world, our individualism runs so deep that even if you have ethnic, religious, cultural ties with other people, it is still not the first thought of many of us to say, look at the trouble we're in. And for those of us who are Jesus followers, there is like a unique posture that we have as Christians, because Paul says things like there's now no longer Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, male nor female, like the things that say this is my tribe and that is the other tribe. In Christ, those dividing walls have come down. The walls that allow me to say, well, that's not my problem, because that's them, not me. So when I'm at my best and I can remember this mentality that Nehemiah has, see, it cures me of that apathy that I talked of at the beginning. And it also kind of cures me of this feeling of being overwhelmed, like I can't do anything about it. Because once I shift to thinking, look at the trouble that we are in. One, I'm owning the fact that, okay, even if it seems like that problem is over there with a different people group, look at the trouble we're in. I and they are part of the we that is having to face this thing as human beings. And also it brings the overwhelm down, because if I can acknowledge that we are all working on this thing together and other people can band together to work on things together, then you can do things like get medicines for curable diseases to people in other parts of the world. And you can come up with solutions to find enough housing for people in the country. We can create systems of support and regulations that can help deal with the anxiety and depression that so many young people face today. And just like Nehemiah ended up doing, I think we can do something about it if we start to think, hey, look at the trouble we are in. By the way, he ends that sentence with like, let us rebuild the wall, the cohortative. The cohortative is that let's in there. It's like a command, but for us. So next time you're walking around your city at night, I don't know if you do that, maybe it's just me that does it. Remember the words of Nehemiah. Look at the trouble we're in. Look at the situations we are facing, and let's do something about it.